Let me show you my sketchbook. Uh, Hello everyone. It's me again after disappearing for a few months. Well, obviously I had school, so I guess I never had the time to make anything. But since I am now on summer vacation, I thought of showing you my sketchbook that I had to use for my art class this year. Do note that all of these sketches were technically homework assignments, so we had to do all of these sketches at home. Um, but in retrospect, just looking back at all these sketches before recording, I honestly like them. I honestly feel they turn out really well. They were kind of easy for some of them, at least the later ones, but in the early sketches I had to do for homework assignments, they were probably easy because it was just pencils and stuff, and I'm used to that. So first was a open book. Nothing much here other than I had to draw all of these lines, and I think they turned out okay. That's also my signature. Next was, oh god, was shading and using a tool for it. I used just a screwdriver. I'm not sure what the hell happened here, but I think it probably smudged everywhere. But at least in the photo I took, the shadows was much better. I know the charcoal must have smeared everywhere, but you can still see where it's supposed to be technically. But whatever. Next was a coffee cup, or was this a teacup? One of the two, I'm not sure. But this one was to use light shadows on an object that was that had a light color, just like bright colors and stuff, with some minimal shadows. I think this one was okay in my opinion. Next was the water in the jar. This one was probably the most difficult one in terms of shading because trying to make shadow in water is a bit difficult, at least in my opinion. I actually had to attempt a couple of times just doing the shadow right it with the water inside the jar. It was actually probably the most difficult I had, but I think the process went well. Next one was a shoe assignment. This one is actually my personal favorite. I honestly like how this shoe turned out. It was supposed to use a Converse shoe and to draw it, and this honestly turned out really well. As you can see, I took some time adding all the detail, and I added some minimal shadow because the shoe itself I used as reference. What it was really bright in color, and putting in black and white as reference, it wasn't much, and I honestly just love how it turned out. It looks so super cool. Anyway, next one was another shoe, but this time it had to use a darker shoe. The same process, just I had to do just darker shadows, more just a dark charcoal grayish. Next is a glass, an empty glass. I just had to just be careful with shading and stuff. It looks fine, at least in my opinion. I also try to mimic the effect of the glass, making different directions of shadows. Another one of this. Also, keep in mind that some of these sketches, they're not either they're either um they're either good or they're not. I will kind of just show maybe some of them, but not all of them, because there's some that I think didn't turn out well. The hat, I honestly feel like it came out good. It gave off the effect of a hat. Yeah. This one was probably the most difficult one. because this was a basket with fucking patterns. Literally. This took me like an entire 2 days, technically, an entire night, because I had to sketch this all out, do the outline and stuff, and then add like a layout of all the shapes of the basket. And then the next day, I had to do all the shadows on all of this, and it was probably the most labor I had to do for a sketch like this, and I honestly think it turned out good. I could have done better, but I like how the result is in my opinion. Next was a light chair. There's nothing much to say here, other than it looks cool. Next was a paper clip. No, wait, not is a nail clipper. I'm sorry. I think this one turned out good. I think I done this within like 2 hours at most, simply because it was such a small object, and the shading was really quick to do. It looks good just looking at this now, because I haven't, the last time I checked this sketchbook was like 2 weeks ago, and I kind of forgot to relook at some of these drawings again, and so and just looking at them now, since it's been like 2 weeks since I seen the sketchbook, I think some of these turn out either okay or great. The pottery. This one was my personal favorite. It's simply because I honestly had fun doing the shape of pottery, and I think the shadows, I had fun with that, because I guess with the pottery shading, I had to be more meticulous. So I think this turned out well. Next one was a rag. Oh yeah, and this is where we started to use ink and pen, which essentially is dipping the pen with the tip on it that you insert into your brush, and then you dip it, and you use it to essentially draw it. And this was to do shading. It was a shading practice we did, technically in class, but it was also kind of like a homework thing, because I had to finish it here at home. And yeah, it was just to mess around with it, try to get used to it. And then our first one with pen and ink was a shadow for a dark rock. Honestly, it was honestly my first time using pen and ink, mainly because I don't necessarily use it. I use either a lead pencil or a ballpoint pen when I'm drawing, majority of the time. So this is surprisingly, it turned out okay for me. And this one, on the other hand, it's actually a better improvement, because I got more better at practicing with the pen and ink. And this one was on a light rock with shadow, and this technically turned out really good. I liked how I did a lot of the cross hatching on some parts of this. It's honestly my best work on doing shadows, because I'm really terrible at it. And then afterwards we did watercolor, which is using like the ink that we have used before, but instead of using the pen that we use for the class, we use brushes. I forgot what the brushes were called, but essentially we would dip the brushes in it, and we'll have to essentially do strokes on a piece of paper many times to get rid of the ink, and then dip it in water, and then we'll get the watercolor effect. And that's what essentially happened here. I think this was supposed to be just a light shadow composition, for the rock. Um, this was because this was also kind of. It's not the first time I used watercolors. I used watercolors in the past when I was much younger, but I kind of stopped using it for whatever reason. And I think it turned out well. Yeah. Okay, this one was my personal favorite. This one was it's like an abstraction portrait we had to do in class. and because like the point of this assignment was to essentially was to make distortion to the face, but make it seem as if it's part of the body. And I took in a lot of creative liberty drawing this. I just like how it just turned out, especially with the gooey part. I actually had so much fun doing this. The zipper was kind of I wasn't sure what to add here. Then I looked up and I saw like a zipper effect to do on the face, and I thought, hey, why should I? Why not? And yeah, this is honestly my favorite. I really love how this turned out. This is probably the best one I did. I think it was meant to be realistic, kind of, but since it was supposed to be distortion, I kind of used my stylized look and used it with creative liberty when creating the abstraction. This one is was another watercolor, I think. Yeah, this is the last watercolor we did. This one was supposed to be for darker values. I think it turned out okay. I kind of gotten better with the watercolor composition with the grays and the blacks. I think it turned out well. Then our last assignment was a composition of just using magazine images to like cut out, then place them everywhere, and then try to make like an entire scene out of it. And the images that I gotten, I just simply used the pen and ink technically, and I made like a town essentially out of it. It's honestly my favorite because I had to essentially guess as to where I should position the images while also essentially making like the entire background and atmosphere. It's probably honestly the most unique one out of the drawings I did. Oh, and then this was supposed to be just to use like alternative brushes and tools. Essentially, like instead of using like a brush or a pen, you're supposed to use like leaves, flowers, and whatnot. And that's what I did. I just splattered everything everywhere, like just like a madman. And it's my most abstract work I did. Is there anything improvements I would have done? Probably not. I think this turned out probably the best way it could have, because it could have gone probably much more different if I were to continue. But I think I found a way to balance the structure, the composition of everything. And I believe this. I'm not sure what these images are. Well, yeah, this is what I have so far in my this is what I did so far in my sketchbook for class. So yeah, that is the entire sketch tour of what I had done for all my homework assignments for this art class this year. I honestly had fun. Likewise, I hope you enjoy the sketches. They are kind of honestly the best things I had ever done so far. They were pretty cool. It made me get out of my comfort zone of drawing in general. And I hope I could take these skills to use for other means in the further future. Anyways, hope you guys have a good day. See you later, and well, bye.